Now.
All righty. I'll share it everywhere that people know.
And we're back. 53. It feels like 3, though. You know? I don't know what's up with
I don't
that.
know. It feels kind of like 53 to me. We've been doing this a while, man.
We have, I know.
It's like 3 or 4 years at this point.
Yeah, that's great.
It started as a joke.
Well,
Was it a joke? Well, if it was a joke, I don't think it was very funny.
Yeah, it's definitely not funny right now.
People are still tolerating us, but I think that's about all we can say.
Well, it's something. But tonight we're sitting down with, I grew up in the Northeast arm wrestling community, and definitely a legend in United States arm wrestling, but definitely in the Northeast as well. We got Bill Sinks with us tonight. How you doing, Bill?
Doing great. Doing great. Good to be on, for sure.
We are psyched to have you, Bill. I think you're one of the key people to talk to because you're world-renowned as a strap expert. Everybody hates being in the straps with you for good reason. And as I mentioned to you before we came on, there's people asking all kinds of questions about what your thoughts are on the straps. And I know you haven't tried out Devin's version, but basically what WL is going to do is they're going to run, according to what their last update was, is they're going to run left hand with a single loop strap that you tried at New England's, and right hand with Devin's strap, which he calls the Answer, which is basically mimics the current strap except with a buckle on both sides to equalize the pressure so that the buckle side doesn't make any difference. Again, we saw a video of it, but I haven't tried it, so I don't really know how it works, but that's the current situation.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the single loop, Bill?
Well, my thoughts on a single loop. I think that it works just fine. I don't really have any issues with it. I mean, it does what it needs to do. When somebody slips out, generally there's a reason for it. You're losing your grip for whether it's somebody that wants to get out of the straps or not. A lot of times it's both pullers that are vying for the strap or maybe not vying for the strap, but are top rollers, and they're consequently going to get in the strap.
Yep.
So the single buckle, to me, I actually prefer the single buckle because unlike Devin, I don't mind the buckle. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and it's totally going to contradict what he's saying. And I've been successful in doing what I do, and I'll take the buckle. And I think that it's for one, I feel it gets tighter on your hand, and yeah, it bites into your hand, but I don't mind that because there's an element of pain, maybe to some degree. And that may also help fire you up,
Sure.
So, and you can counter, what he says just by holding, your hand, in a position where you're not, the referee will tighten the single buckle down on your hand. And I don't feel that, I've never really ever felt that being, at a disadvantage with the referee doing that. And maybe that's just the way I pull, and maybe it's my style and my hand position. Mm-hmm. But when that referee reefs on it, if he is one that really puts it on tight, and if he isn't, I'll try to tell him to get it tighter, because I don't mind that being maybe tighter on my hand and it biting into my hand, and I don't care if it's bleeding or not. But so I don't, been in the strap thousands and thousands of times. The single buckle to me is you can, if you put it on correctly, I feel you can get it equal. And I know Devin's going to agree with that theory. It seems to work really well for me. So
yeah, it seems like to me with the discussion about the buckle over the last couple of years, anyway. I think if anything, it's more mental than anything. I think people feel like they're already at a disadvantage because someone told them they were.
Yeah, but also another thing is, and I used to do this. If they said I don't want the buckle, I'll take it, and I'll look at it right in the eyes and say I'll take the buckle.
Exactly.
And that to me, it put them in the national right off the bat. They're like, okay, this guy doesn't care because either he feels he's that much better than I am, and he's going to beat me anyway, or and that's the way I took it. So I said I'll take the buckle, no problem. I don't have any issues taking it.
So you haven't noticed in your career any difference in your performance when you have the buckle or don't have the buckle?
Not in my experience. I haven't really noticed any. I mean, there may be a pull or two out there that I might have not been successful. Maybe more than that, but I never felt taking the buckle was detrimental to my performance. I really didn't. So.
Do you think a couple people have said that they feel like it's less unfair in the WAL because they start you on a ref script and there's no screwing around or trying to gain an advantage by lifting your arm up or posting or any of that kind of stuff? So because you're not allowed to move at all, the strap goes on much more fairly in WAL tournaments than it would in a standard WAF rule tournament. Do you think that's true?
I don't. That might be true. I think, there's so many variables. It might be true for certain pullers. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that it's any more or less fair based on the way they set up. I really don't. I mean, you're still in a strap. Yeah, you might be setting up a little bit differently, or your position still may be the same. So I don't think it's I don't think it's any more fair, in the way they set up. Mm-hmm. Maybe more fair. You got to think about different techniques. It might be more fair to the guy that didn't want to get in the straps. It might be an inside puller. It might be beneficial to him in the WAL, way they set up. Mm-hmm. So that could be, that could be a factor. There's so many, different techniques that counter different people in a lot of different ways. So there's no one set. This strap is going to work this way. It's going to be this effective on this person. No, there's no really any. I feel anyway. There's any a certain way to look at it that's fail safe. There really isn't.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a one-on-one combat sport. It's never going to be quite fair for everybody. There's going to be somebody who's going to feel like they're at a disadvantage anyway. Right. And I just think that for the most part, I don't know how you feel about it, Bill, but I just think most of this can be combated by just proper training and practicing where you're not good at.
I mean, think about the if you're just talking strap, it evolved, in a lot of different ways. We've seen, I've seen over the last almost 30 years that I've been competing, it'd go from the AAA, figure eight we set up, and then it also for the single buckle, of course, which is still used today, and then also the Velcro strap. Yeah. And then the wider strap that Devin, I keep referring to him, but he says that one doesn't hurt your hands as much. Well, I want it to hurt my hands. I don't care. I'll small 3/4 inch strap compared to the 1 inch that's supposed to be, or whatever it is, 1.5 inches. I don't know how wide it is.
Sure.
That's supposedly comfortable, but it's not there's different factors to that. It's not going to be putting the same equal amount of pounds per square inch compared to a smaller strap. Mm-hmm. So there's so many different elements that are going to play into your match, I feel.
Yeah, and it's funny because what the things you're talking about too is they're not even just playing into the match. That's actually starting to play into your personality, and there's definitely no way to make a rule for that. you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean, all right. So I'm trying to follow what you guys are saying here, and I mean, when we spoke to Tim Breslin, he basically said the same thing as you are saying, Bill, and John has said numerous times, which if there is a disadvantage, you can minimize its impact by just training like crazy in the strap and always getting the buckle side. and that if there is some kind of leverage disadvantage by being pulled down on your side of the hand, that you can almost eliminate it just by practice. So I don't know if that's because there are quite a few people, who believe that there is a disadvantage, and I don't know if it's that what you said, John, that it really is mental, or if there is reality to it. Somebody suggested we do some data collection to see, when the same people go up against each other, does the person with the buckle lose more frequently or not? But just to talk about what you just said, Bill, you're, like I said in the beginning, you're known as someone who's an expert in the straps. And I'm wondering if, do you think it's just the incredible number of matches that you've had in the straps that have enabled you to basically sort of naturally take advantage of any match that starts in them?
Well, I'm going back here when I first started, and I was so excited about arm wrestling that I would pull, and I would my hand wasn't caught up to my arm, so I would consequently slip out initially. The first 3, 4, 5 years that I competed, pretty much at a local level and building up to bigger and bigger tournaments. But in my case, as big of a hand as I had, it pulling out, I would end up in the straps just by default, not knowing how to pull. So I actually got a funny award. I don't know how far into my career, but it was in Illinois where I grew up. And this guy that used to put on tournaments, and probably a lot of guys are listening might remember him, Jim Jensen. And he gave me a strap on a plaque, and it said, the Wet Fish Award. I ended up in the strap, so I learned how to pull in the strap.
Right.
And then that's another thing you guys got to think about, these newcomers that are coming into it. You need, when you're training, you have to train at least 10 to 20% of your time in the straps, because whether you're an inside hooker, a press, or whatever, you're going to end up in there regardless in any given tournament, unless you're unbelievably strong and you can keep people out of it. So you need to know what to do when you get in that case. So you have to train, even though you don't like pulling the strap, you got to train in the strap. And I'm just putting that out to all the new, the new pullers we're getting out there that are, maybe have their little club that they're training with, or a big club, and wherever they are in the country or in the world, and you need to be getting that, whatever strap it is that you got on. There's, differentials and these new ones that are coming out. We'll see what that's all about. Mm-hmm. But curious to try that strap from Devin. I'd like to see it, and I'm going to watch that YouTube video on it and see what I think about it. But all in all, guys, your hands are tied together, whether you got the buckle or not, and you need to be able to figure out where to apply the pressure to make it work for you, whether it's a double buckle strap, single buckle, a Velcro, or whatever. You got to know, you got to know how to use it. That's why you got to train in them.
Yeah, for sure.
So obviously we're getting a lot of questions, Bill, and a bunch of them about straps, but I think it's kind of hard to talk about the techniques and straps when you're not on the table with someone. But if you were going to give people a few tips on how to improve their strap game, are there some things that you can transmit electronically like this to some of the people out there?
To guys that are, I could actually move down to my gym, and I'm going to try to, hopefully I shouldn't lose you, but I can kind of show you some stuff. I'll try to do that if it makes sense, guys.
You can do that.
Sure.
And then, hang on a second.
Yeah, we like to walk around. It always makes the show more interesting,
Yeah, look at this. We're going for a ride.
Get a little tour of your house and all that.
Yeah, tour. Kids, I got 3 little kids, so I got to be quiet. They're 6, 4, and 1 year old.
Wow.
I'm going into my basement, and I got my wall poster on the wall. See, I just got that. I got a tournament coming up. And here's my gym. I got all the guys just left. I had training every Wednesday night in my house. Tonight I had 6 guys and 1 girl.
Nice.
One girl that's new. She's been doing it about 6 months, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and we are also, I think I'm going to go to New York to train with a guy that's relatively new, Jason Moore, this Sunday, with some guys. So anyway, can you guys see me okay?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So here's one of my tables. I'm going to try to position this so you guys can see this. Hopefully I can make this work. All right, I'm not going to give you all my tricks, but I'll give you some tips.
Fair enough.
And you guys, I'm doing all the talking here. You guys, you're supposed to be doing the talking, right?
They're sick of us.
They're
man.
very
They
sick
get to
of it,
listen to us yap every week. They'd rather hear from you, believe me.
Hang on 1 second. I'm gonna set this down. Got my wall shirt on.
Yep. Representing Wall. I see that.
Like it or not, I'm representing him. Steve Kaplan. Hope you're watching. Bart Wood. You were on a couple weeks ago. I was watching that.
Yep. Well, you know what? WAL is gaining in popularity every year because they're doing it right and there's no competition, So, I mean, people were complaining about WAL the first year or so, but pretty much everybody's getting on board with it these days.
Yeah, no, that's great to see. In Oregon, this is its what is this, 4th year for Wall?
I think that's right.
Fourth year.
It's the 4th year or so. We should talk about that Wall a little bit, maybe later on. How long are we gonna be on for? An hour?
Whatever you want.
Yeah, whatever you want. We got any questions you want to ask me?
Yeah, I got a million questions. Let me throw a couple of them in there while you're getting set up, and then we can talk about straps after that. So, first question that I got was from Alexander, who watches every week, and he was curious about what your favorite exercises are that are out of the normal routine that you do that other arm wrestlers might not do.
So overall, I'll do mainly just basic exercises, for just core strength.
Mm-hmm.
But there is some stuff I do that is exclusive to arm wrestling. And one is to take a dumbbell, whatever weight that you can handle, and throw it, like get in your position, your ideal position, whatever that is, and throw it from hand to hand.
Okay.
Like you would take, to like stop a hit or absorb a hit or be able to hit, just for time. And that's one that I've kind of, maybe other guys do it, maybe, I don't know. But it's just something that I'll throw right to left, back and forth, as many times as I can handle with whatever weight I can handle. And that impact, it's kind of a huge jolt. You think about it, you're going back and forth with whatever weight you can handle, but you're absorbing it and not, do it where there's too much, where you're going to be out of your lock.
Yeah.
So that's one exercise that I do.
So it's kind of like plyometrics almost.
Yeah. And I'll do stuff. Go ahead.
So I'm going to combine a couple questions here, Bill, because they're right along the same subject from Mike and from Ali. How much training do you do off the table, and do you train more weights or more table time?
More depends on what's coming up tournament-wise. Right now, I'm doing more weights, and basically, normally I do one, and this is also just because of my age. I'm doing one night a week training on a table.
Okay.
And generally before a tournament, I'm taking off at least 10 days, on the table. So that's where I'm at right now. I'm working out to some degree every day, as far as the weights and stuff like that, just about every day, doing something for core strength and for arm wrestling, dedicated exercise that are for arm wrestling. And that isn't always like that. You can't do that all the time. You gotta, I'm 52, so you have to sometimes cycle it. Okay, I'm building up right now, and I know I'm going to take a break here soon, and get back down to where I'm going to be fresh again, because it just you tear down your muscles. When you're working out, to some extent, don't hurt them, but you have to stop at some point, or so they can repair and come back stronger. I mean,
Sure.
You're building up for a specific tournament or series of tournaments. Like right now, we're building up to a lot of stuff coming up, at least as far as wall goes, and a lot of other tournaments that are going on right now as well. So that's just one of the exercises that I do that is specific to arm wrestling. And I'll do, like a lot of guys probably do, bands, bands on a table, back pressure. I don't know if anybody remembers those nitro bands. Did everybody hear about them? Remember those years ago? They were this guy, Tom Zimko, I think from Pennsylvania.
Oh, sure.
For these bands, he called them nitro bands, but they were just a basic back pressure, side pressure kind of band, and you put two of them, do the same.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of guys do that kind of stuff, and I'll do that, but I don't dwell on it. I don't really say this is the only exercise that is going to, not one specific exercise is going to make me a great arm wrestler. It's a lot of things, Plus, I'm fortunate enough to be in construction, and for years I swung a hammer. I don't as much anymore, but I tell you what, that swinging a hammer made me a pretty good arm wrestler,
That's actually a question that Paul Lynn just asked about. Do you have specific stuff you do for your wrist, and how long does it take for you to see the benefits?
It takes years and years to see the benefit of any wrist tendon strength stuff. It takes a long, long time. Mm-hmm. And I think that was one reason myself I had early success was because I arm wrestled just for fun before I started competing, before I went to my very first tournament, which was a local tournament with just a handful of guys in my class. But the exercise, just swinging that hammer, and I was swinging the heaviest hammer I could find that I could handle, and that would just, was good, prior to really getting into any other training that was specific to arm wrestling. So it helped me, be successful right off the bat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and let's talk about something else that you're maybe a little more specific towards, which would be endurance. You're known as a guy who can pull for a long, long time,
Right.
And I'm more of an endurance puller myself. Were you born with that, do you think, or do you think it was something you had to develop?
I think both. I mean, I think I was some degree blessed with the ability to have that endurance, because I wasn't a big guy. In fact, when I first started pulling, I was competing in 176.
Right.
I was 6 foot tall, and so I just had the right strength for that, to have the endurance. And so plus that's another, it kind of ties in with pulling in a strap, because if you're pulling in a strap, that one downside is you got to pull a guy twice. Think about it. You're pulling them once out of the strap because you don't set up in the strap,
Right.
and you're pulling again.
Yep.
So
Very true.
That early on, ending up in the straps, I'm like, geez, I got to pull this guy in the strap. I mean, I didn't mind it, because I knew that once I got in the strap, generally 9 out of 10 times I would be successful or more. But a lot of times, guys, I would end up in a long match, even whether I win or not. It would be, it would be a battle for sure, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I didn't mind it.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of.
Fun
I kind of wish I tell my teammates all the time. I wish I was a guy who wasn't having these battles, but it's fun.
Right.
It's definitely a lot of fun. How much do you think of the endurance side of it is mental too? As far as a lot of people get into a long match, they're starting to think about their next match. They start to think
Right.
about how their biceps on fire. How much
Right.
how much do you think of that is ignoring those kind of things?
Well, I got to tell you, I think personally, it's definitely a factor. But I tell you what, I pretty much ignore it, because I'm not one to give up, because I can think that, all right, I'm going to win this match, but it's going to kill me for the next match. So take a loss. So I can't say I've ever given a match up because of it's just been so long that I'm going to knock myself out of a tournament. I would rather win that match and know that I gave every match, my all.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's just why I feel. I remember, I think it was the first or second wall finals I went to, and it was down to, I think it was in Chicago, or I don't remember. Might have been in Vegas. No, I was in Vegas like 3 years ago. I was in 3 super long matches. One was Quinlan Mendez. I ended up beating him. Then the next one was Chad Silvers, and then ended up beating Chad. But both of those matches, plus whatever else, were long, grueling matches. Then he ended up, actually, I had to beat Chad twice. But they were battles. They were super battles, and I got into the finals. But, and it was me and Eric Roussan, and Eric said, I know you're spent. I said, yeah, but I'm going to give it my all. And I couldn't beat him, but it just I didn't take the loss to come into the final fresh, final 2 or 3 or whatever it was, So to me, you got to go. That's my mindset. You're gonna go to win. I'm not playing those games. I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
Totally.
It seems like it's completely against the entire spirit of the sport.
Absolutely.
Right. It is what it is.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Follows what the draw is. The match is what the match is. The competition is getting so tough. These guys, any of these top 10, 12, now it used to be like the top 1 or 2, who's going to win. We may know to some degree, but still, I think it's getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's good to see that.
That's what you want from the legitimacy of the sport. You want there to be a top 10 that could be any week could be different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right, exactly. You want to see that, and that's just going to help us get to the next level. I think, ultimately.
I agree.
You don't want this one guy dominating all the time. Yeah, it's great to see him, and he may be very, very deserving of it. But it's really nice to see, as a spectator, all across the board. Say, hey, it's not a set in stone that this guy's going to win every time.
Yeah.
There's a few out there that they're pretty given, but I feel that it's better. It's getting tougher. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. All right, let's get some of these questions in here for you, sir. I got a couple from Cody that are interesting. First of all, James Reed, he just expressed his opinion here that if they took steroids out of the sport, he feels like you would be top 3 in every tournament. So a little bit of love for you there. And,
thanks, James. Thanks, man. Yeah, appreciate that, James.
I agree with him. Not too many people can deal with your stamina, I don't think. So Cody has 2 questions that I think are interesting. The first one is a technique one, and it's about. I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm curious anyway. Okay. What you feel has the most value on the table: back pressure, side pressure, pronation, supination, or hand and wrist?
Well, that's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question.
Correct, sir.
That is a loaded question. Good question, Cody. How do I answer that one? The answer, I think, that I would say is, for one, you got to be well-versed in all those, for one, or well-versed in all those. But most everybody has a strength, whether it be back pressure, side pressure, in a hook, of tricep pressure, whatever. So Cody, you have to find what it is that you're strong in, Cody, and exploit that, and try to get your matches that you're pulling with these guys to come to you, to get, so you're pulling the way you want to pull, and you're whether they have that same strength or not, there's no, you got to use what God blessed you with, to your best ability. So that's really my answer to that one.
That's a good question. I mean, it does change individual to individual, and I do agree with what you're saying. I think that in sports like judo, everybody has a technique, which they do 90% of the time, and then they have like a 10% technique or a 5% technique to fill in the gaps, but they focus on something and they get it to the point where it's overpowering. And I feel like that is what you do to an extent. It's not that you only have one technique; it's that you have a primary one that is very, very difficult for people to beat.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
so on that,
me and my teammates talk about often is, when we were talking about walking into a match, what are you going to do if you ever hold this guy or this style? And I try to tell them, I don't ever think of that. I just think that I'm going to pull the way I'm going to pull, and they're going to have to adjust to me. I'm going to be so aggressive with my plan that they have to adjust to me. They don't have a choice. Right. They don't have a choice in the matter. So if they can adjust, if they're strong enough to adjust to me, they're going to have to catch me anyway. So sometimes that aggression right there is the difference between winning a match easily and getting in a war.
Right.
I agree. I think that's it's something we don't talk about enough. I mean, I think it's hard, especially when you're new. You're kind of flustered a little bit, and you may move around trying all different kinds of techniques. But eventually, as you just mentioned, Bill, you will figure out what your strength is, and you'll start building on it. And to bring to a similar topic, Cody's other question was, did you have any thoughts about Tony Kotowski's decision to move up to 195 this year?
Hey, I just got interrupted by my beautiful wife. She can hear.
Sorry.
No, it's quite all right. It's quite all right.
Hey, you're just using my hand strength to open up a jar, right? Huh?
Yeah.
There you
go. What's Tony's decision to move up to 195?
Yeah.
What are my thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I think if he's weighing, I mean, he's obviously training like crazy. Good for him. I haven't talked to him. What's his motivation? I think it's if he's up to 195 and that's what he's weighing, he has a hard time cutting to 165. I don't have any problem with that. I understand that.
Yeah.
Have
you pulled Tony before?
I have. It's been a long time. Tony might correct me. I don't think I've ever lost to him, but this is years ago. Because I used to live in Illinois and he was in Wisconsin. I don't believe I ever lost to Tony, but he may correct me, but I don't think so. But then again, he wasn't as a good, he certainly stepped it up the last few years, and good for him.
Yep.
So that's kudos for him, and good luck in the 195s. I'm going to be there, so.
So let me what James Reed was talking about a little bit with the steroids and stuff.
Yep.
Do you have thoughts about the testing, and beyond that, is there supplements that you take to help improve your training? I mean, I know some people take creatine or glucosamine or what have you, but are you a supplement guy at all? And what are your thoughts on the steroid testing?
Not big on supplements, not real big. I mean, I'll take, vitamins and stuff like that. And I have taken creatine, but I'm not currently taking any creatine right now. But it's, so I'm not a huge supplement guy. Mm-hmm. But I feel, just eat healthy and take care of yourself, really. Yep. I mean, because I feel that's going to make your career the longest it possibly can be, But as far as what was your question about the testing, Josh?
Yeah. I mean, basically, is it important to you that they start testing in a regimented fashion, or do you not care?
I do and I don't. I mean, I care because I've never went that road. Mm-hmm. And I don't know the guys that are, there's some that are probably pretty obvious.
Yeah.
And I have to say that, it's, I wish it was, cheaper to test. I think the costs are expensive. I'm not really sure. But from what I understand that it's expensive to test for steroids or any enhancing stuff. So I do wish it was in place, because I think it would take out some guys that, basically are having, getting, to me, I feel an unfair advantage because they're doing that and I'm not, and there's a lot of guys like me that they won't go down that road. Mm-hmm. So it's like bodybuilding, you got the guys that are doing the juice and the guys that are on the natural ones, but then you see even in our sport, the guys that are doing something, especially in some of the European countries, their career is very short-lived.
Yeah.
They need to be on the top for a while, but I'm not going to say any names, but I've seen it over my career of different guys that I'm pretty confident are doing something, illegal, And then, you see him on the top for 2-3 years. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And at what cost? I'd rather be a top puller, but I feel I'm a top puller for a long time.
Yeah.
Maybe winning every tournament, making it to the finals. I feel great. I'm 52 and I'm in the finals in the last 2 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I totally agree, Bill. We had a doctor on last week, and we had one on a few months ago, and this doctor last week is in charge of trying to figure out the most effective way to fuel and hydrate our soldiers overseas, especially in desert environments and things like that. And I asked him point blank, is there any reason that you would ever suggest that soldiers take steroids or any kind of performance enhancer while they're out in the field? And he said no, I wouldn't. And he basically stated the hormonal balance in our body is very sensitive. And when you introduce things that are not supposed to be there, it has unintended consequences, and some of them are long-lasting, as you just mentioned. And they really can impact your overall health and your ability to have longevity in the sport like you have. So I think it's a really good point. I wish they would. I mean, it is expensive. You're right. There's no way around that. But I mean, I feel like it would be nice if we started up like a national arm wrestlers organization or something, and it was like $100 or $50 dues or something like that, and that money just went straight to testing at, say, like the nationals and at WAL events, the big ones, that kind of thing. Because I do think it's important. I mean, for everybody's health and also to have an even playing field, as you mentioned.
Yeah, definitely it would help an even playing field. I think most of us know who the offenders are, if you will, for lack of a better word. It's unfortunate. It's good for them if that's what they feel they need to do. I don't like, I know my personal morals tell me never to think about that. So
yeah, I'm with you. John and I are with you.
Oh, good.
Yeah, sure.
I think most people are. I think for the most part, most people are on that. I want to have a long career. I'm looking at, hopefully quite a few more years if I can, and I'm looking at, down the road when I decide to step back, I want to still be involved in the sport. I want to be in it. I'm coaching now. I coach all the time. I mentor different guys, and I just love it. And I want to see, the guys that I coach. I try to, I definitely that doesn't exist in our environment anyway.
So all right. There's questions piling up. I knew you were going to be a popular show, Bill. People have a lot of respect for you. And it's nice to see all these people. John Cervantes is checking in. He says, "What's up?" and keep up the good work.
Hey, John, how you doing, buddy?
And there's a question from David, which is a good one. What do you suggest for people that don't have the advantages of having a manual labor job? If someone who works at a desk, is there anything that they could do to help bridge the gap during the day?
Absolutely. Get some bands, get some grippers, or get something where you're at that desk, and you sit at the desk all day. That's for one, that's not healthy anyway. I don't have a desk job, but I just know that's not good. So if you can get the blood pumping some way, and at least to some degree, and try to have the benefit of that being something that can benefit your arm wrestling, whether it be some kind of a static holds with some dumbbells, or if they have the ability to do that occasionally, just think about that during the day. Even if it ends up being, say, 20 minutes throughout the whole day, that's awesome. That's what you got to do. There's a Canadian puller, I forgot his name, that has a desk job, and Andre, or what is his name? Anyway, he's come to my tournaments a few times. And he's in really awesome shape. And he said, "Bill, yeah, I got a desk job, but I'm doing this and I'm doing that." I'm like, "That's awesome. Good for you." On top of going to the gym.
Sure.
Because you sit at a desk. There's a lot of people, have those kind of jobs, and they're very, very competitive in the sport. So you got to figure out where you can train. I mean, I remember when I first got into this sport, I was so excited about it. I was a carpenter, swinging a hammer, but I tell you what, every motion, pulling nails. I would take and pull nails. If I had to pull nails, I would put it sideways. I put the claw like right here, and I would pull it this way. It's crazy. It consumed me so much.
Right.
For that made me an awesome puller because of that. Just every motion. I'll do concrete work. I love doing concrete work. I still do. Carrying the forms. I would try to carry them with one hand. I would grip them. I would put balance them on my shoulder and put it in a position where it would be just like right there. When I'm finishing, there's another guy that I know that's a concrete finisher. Adis Chuck, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but he's on the Erie crew.
Okay.
Adis, I'm pretty sure he's a concrete finisher, and he'll do like finishing hand, and I remember doing a lot of big floors by hand. I would be finishing them, and I would be thinking nothing but arm wrestling. I'd be like, that tournament's up, and I would be just, every motion in whatever job you have, whether it's a desk job or manual labor, certainly is a bonus for our sport. But that's all. It totally consumed me for a lot. It still does today, but I just remember I have to watch it now because you can't get too crazy. As you get older, your heel time is, But that's what. Anyway, I didn't mean to get off on a tangent there.
That was a great answer, man.
Yeah, I think at a certain level, I didn't start off very blessed in the sport. I wasn't very strong. I had a pretty good ability to pick up technique pretty fast, but really, you hit it really on the head there, which is it becomes an obsession, and to really get to the point where you need to be in order to compete with a lot of these guys who maybe are just gifted athletically. Maybe they're just great athletes. You really do have to it has to become an obsession to the point where you are so obsessed with it that it becomes almost a first nature rather than a second nature. Mm-hmm. So that you live on that table. You're coming in my house. You're coming in my house, man. I don't care how good you are.
Yeah. That's great. That is great.
It's a good question, Bill. This is from Patty Woods. She's pulling Heidi Cordner on the 18th, which is, as we know, a huge task. But she's curious, as a top roller yourself, what kind of advice you would give for someone to stop a strong top roll?
I don't know this person, but I would say that if her idea is to try to match her top roll, I'm not. I know Heidi is pretty tall. She's a taller girl, and she's got some longer arms. If maybe, and I can't say I've watched Heidi a ton, pulling, so I don't necessarily know her technique. But if this girl that's asking this question feels that she's got a good top roll, whether she's similar height or not, try to maybe resort to the straps if you can, because it may if she has the potential strength to beat her, maybe that's best to go to the straps and just go arm to arm and not have to worry about matching her top roll if she feels Heidi is stronger that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, and I can't say I've watched Heidi a lot. I just know her stature, and this girl I don't know as much, or at all, I should say.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things. Whenever we have to go up against somebody that we know is one of the best in our weight class, it's always tough. So you try to get any kind of help you can before you do it,
Right. Yeah, good luck to you. Good luck to you, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a question from Norway, from Bard. He wants to know if you could only do 2 exercises for arm wrestling, what would you choose and why?
That's torturous.
That's a tough question. Well, what does he have to work with, this person?
I think he basically wants to know if you had to limit yourself to only doing 2 things, what would those 2 things be?
Oh my gosh. The 2 exercises. If I had to resort down to just the 2 exercises, I'd probably just do hammer curls, maybe, and probably just some wrist curls.
Okay.
I don't know. Those are 2 that are you gotta train. You gotta train your wrist and your forearm, and you have to. I think if you only got 2 exercises, you're better off probably just pulling on the table.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, can that be one of them?
Table time.
Yeah, I'll just do that every day. Can I just do that every day?
Yeah, you got to keep that in check too. But it's so important table time because you can train all you want in the gym, and you can go to a tournament. You can be tournament rusty and be trained like unbelievable athlete, and you could be after the tournament grudge match pulling everybody and killing them all. But when it comes time to put the rubber to the road, you may not be able to have it because you are not having that tournament time or that table time that's so important.
Do you how do you feel about doing like ready goes and tournament situations in practice?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think it's super important. Super important.
Super important, for sure. You know, I think you gotta train on the table, and you gotta, like I said before, 10 to 20% of that time. And the straps, you need to do that, and you gotta start doing the same amount of time with the ready goes or with the close your thumbs, close your hands goes, depending on what you're pulling, what organization you need to. And that's something I kind of lacked on initially. I'm like, no, just wall start. This is crazy. Close your thing. This is nuts. But I have to do it.
Yeah.
But, and then they're changing all this stuff up. We've been doing it for a long, long time. You know, there's this tournament coming up in, where is it at? Virginia, the sit-down nationals. You guys hear about that one?
Oh, yeah.
And the first 50 years, guys, I'm going to actually pass these out at my tournament. Maybe you guys see him. But anyway, the guy called me up. I forgot his name. It's in Virginia. Special guest Bob O'Leary. But that's 50 years of competitive arm wrestling. At least that's what we know about, you know, and that's awesome.
Right.
I don't know if I'm going to make it, but that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know where I was going with that one, but anyway.
Well, when I first started arm wrestling back in the 80s, sit-down tournaments, like pretty much every other tournament was a sit-down. It was a big part of the sport, and it's kind of sad that it's disappeared as it has so much. So it's cool that he's bringing it back.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I know the guy that I trained with, Joe Fitzsimmons, he's going to be, I think he's going down. He went down last year, and that's kind of a reunion as well. They're trying to tote that as a arm wrestling reunion. So good luck to him on that, and hopefully he gets good turnout. Because there's a lot of. I tell you, in this sport, I've met so many good friends over a lot of years, all over the world, and I'm so grateful for that part of it. You know, for sure.
Have you gone to WAF Worlds, Bill?
Oh yeah, I've been to like 4 or 5 of them.
How'd you do?
Yep. Good. I've taken like I think 2 or 3 seconds and 3/3 over the years.
So real good.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah, my first one I got. That was a rude awakening. My very first world tournament.
Yeah.
But since then, I redeemed myself.
Some of those tournaments are the best things that can happen to your career, though.
It was good. I'm like, oh wow! I went there first in right-handed, I think that year, in the nation, undefeated, and then I go over there and I'm like, wow, this is 32 countries, and go there and I lose twice and I was done. I'm like, holy God, this is not a good idea. But it made me train and come back. Next time I went, I took a second left and a third right. The next time.
That's awesome.
And I think a few times it was depending on where the worlds were or whoever was competing, I would beat like I think one year. Let's see, Kurt. I think Kurt Niazi from Turkey won, but I beat him like 6 months before the Worlds at a different tournament. So,
okay.
So it's close.
You think you'll go back sometime?
I've thought about it. You know, I would be in the Masters. I mean, I would be qualified for the Masters but I still feel I'm competitive in the Open. So, you know, I don't know. You know,
I think you should come.
It's really cool going. It's a lot of fun to represent your country. That is awesome. You know, and
yeah, for sure. And talking about the weight classes, the 195s. What do you walk around at, Bill?
I'm usually around 202.
Yeah, you're real close.
Yeah, real close. Yeah.
I would love to see you go back, Bill. You can always do both masters and senior classes. You know, it's what I did last year. I shouldn't have done seniors, but I did.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of fun, man. It's gonna be in Budapest this year.
Really? Yeah, I should go back because it's I kind of one part of me says that I'm letting the United States down by not going to those tournaments. It's like, geez, you don't want to like. I still feel I'm competitive, and I certainly probably would be really competitive in I think in the Masters.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Why am I not going to these tournaments and representing the United States during my career? I have before, but You know, it's hard. I don't know. It's a tough question. You got to kind of pick and choose
Yep.
your tournaments. And I remember one of the first couple worlds I went to. I'm like, why aren't these guys going? These top pullers, and they're, you know. I remember one comment that I heard. Well, they only come to these money tournaments. I'm like, what? That isn't right. So I never felt that way. That I didn't go there just because there was no money there. Because I just love the sport anyway. I mean, money's nice, sure, but I still do it anyway. I don't care.
Yeah, sure.
You should come to Tahoe, man, April 8th and 9th, and come to Budapest. It'd be awesome.
So Tahoe is nationals this year?
Yeah, it's
That's
USAF.
USAF, yep, awesome.
We're both going down there. We're both going to try to qualify. And I'm going to, hopefully qualify in Masters and see what happens again.
Yeah, good luck to you. Where are you at, Josh? Where's your weight?
I'm about the same as you. I was 201.5 this morning. So, So the 98s is not a hard cut for me at all. And I actually was weighing about 212 last year because I was, I was trying to experiment with being a little bit heavier and then cutting more weight. And I mean, it worked out. I got third place righty in the Masters. And I felt like I could have beaten the silver medalist. And the first place guy was Raymond Antonovics, who's, he's in a light year ahead of me. But, I still want to go back anyway and try him out again.
You never know. With a good year of training, you never know.
Yep.
You never know.
You never know. That's right. But I think you would win. I think you would win Masters. There's some tough guys over there, but I would, I don't think they can handle you personally. All right, more questions. Are you going to Rockwell?
Is that a James Reed question?
That is a Scott Lewis question.
Scott Lewis.
Or Scott L. Not Lewis.
I was gonna try to make 187 at Rockwell's.
Oh, nice.
But right now I just don't see it. I don't have a lot of weight to lose, and I can't. That's a week and a half away, and I have a tournament the following week, a wall tournament in my area that I'm running that I would want to obviously do well in, and I don't think I don't know. I guess my answer is I'm not sure.
Okay, fair enough.
Sure.
And we have a question coming in from Brazil. Actually, Chile, I believe. Sorry, Tomas. He wants to know, he's asking all of us, but I'm going to leave this to you guys. Defensive hook, giving up 100% of your pronation. How do you improve it? Any exercises you'd recommend, static dumbbell, etc.? And he feels like there's a lot of down pressure, which he's having a hard time strengthening.
Yep. That's a hard one.
John, you want to take that?
Yeah, I definitely can. My right arm is a lot better in a defensive hook than my left. I think having a good training partner who will work with you is very important with that, because when you get a defensive hook and you're turned palm up and you don't have a great ability to rotate back through to get in an offensive position, it really takes a lot of side pressure with your hand up. And if you're not used to that, your elbow is really not going to like you, one. And your shoulder's probably really not going to like you either. So it's really important to be able to get in a position and really apply as much pressure as you can controlled without somebody trying to rip through you, because that's where you can kind of get hurt in there. As far as the down pressure goes, it's a really strange pressure to be able to take this part of your pinky here and almost try to touch your forearm with it. So it's this. It's downward. And that downward pressure, what it does to your opponent who has a better pronation position than you, it chops into their hand and turns them on their palm. And usually, in conjunction with your lat pulling down, if you can be in a defensive spot and drag down and rotate like that, you're going to turn them on their palm and open their bicep up and even up the match a bit. But I think the first part of that is being able to keep your arm in a good position with your palm up, which is very difficult if you're not used to that.
I like all of that. That's good stuff, John. I mean, I'm not anywhere near as good in a hook as you are, but I spent a great deal of time in over the last 2 years, and I feel like what you said, the most important part of what you said is the training partner, the center of the table stuff, and you guys both exploring the different angles on a hook without trying to blast each other, because you really can learn a great deal, and it's much less trying on your elbows. I did it too fast lefty and ended up like blowing out my tendon. I had to basically not do any hooks for a year, which sucked. I didn't do that righty, so my right hook is a lot better as a result. But I feel like, that center of the table stuff is something that not enough people do in their training. A lot of, Bill, I have a feeling you don't train this way, but if you've traveled around to some of the bigger groups, they sometimes can be like little mini tournaments, and people are doing more competing with one another than they are learning.
We do on occasion. We'll do, not in the same mini tournament. We'll do like king of the table or whatever, and just make some, we'll usually we'll do it near the end of the training session, and even the girls get in too. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Like last week, I set it up to where each person had, whether they won or lost, was the king of the table. And they went through everybody, right and left, just to work on starts, to work on, just pulling if you got somebody that you're going to stop. And, we take in consideration the top guys, some of the better pullers compared to some of the ones that are still, we may give a little bit and get into defense, let them hit to feel where they're at, and then pull them back or whatever. And so, yeah, that's a good, it's definitely a good exercise. Back to your last question there. One thing that don't ever like forget about a drag. If you're in the center of the table, you can drag pressure and then roll your arm, or you're pulling, drag a guy out of his range, and then maybe apply side pressure. So that may help that person from Chile. Is that where he's from?
Yep, Chile, yep. That's a great answer. So there you go, Tomas. And people are helping him out on Facebook, too, a few extra. Here's Scott Winnie would like to pull Bill at a best of 5. So we can arrange that, Scott. No problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even see you do a lot of super matches, Bill. Is that a format you enjoy? Or?
I love the super matches. I've had quite a few super matches over the year. I mean, nothing recent, I have to say.
Right.
But I've had some with Chad Silver down in Charlotte, North Carolina, a few years ago. I had one with Kevin Bongard. I've had a super match with Mike Solaris, and this is going a little way back. But I've had some super matches over the years.
Yeah, I've seen one of my favorite super matches. I didn't get to see it live, but you and Jason Vale.
Oh my God, we've had 2. I think we did. I beat him.
Yes.
Yeah, and he's another notorious strap puller.
Absolutely.
So, but I went down in New York City. I think that was like 4 or 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, and it was a best out of 5, and I had a good day. I was feeling really good there, and I was undefeated at that time.
Yeah, from what I remember, just from seeing the video, was the first match was incredibly long, incredibly taxing, and then just every match gets a little easier for you, kind of thing. Like you're really showcasing your endurance. But he's so incredible in the strap that it's one of those things where these 2 guys are great in the strap. What's going to happen, right?
We have a history in the strap, Jason and I. Mm-hmm. We definitely have a history. I mean, I think he's pulled probably as long as I have, or close to it. And we've definitely 1 year in Worlds, he took 3rd, I took 2nd. And we were in the strap. And it was many times that. And this is not recent because Jason has had some life stuff going on or whatever. And I'm pretty sure he's still pulling. And I think he still has a group that he trains. I think every week, I believe, Jason trains a group of guys that maybe stay in the New York City area. I'm not sure about that, but we saw him last year or the year before in Wall. I think.
Yeah, it was fairly recently. Yeah.
Yeah, fairly recent. Last year or 2, he was there, and it was 2 years ago, I think. Actually, he was he's kind of an odd character. Hey, Jason, I still like you, buddy, but he's definitely a funny guy. But for strap wise, yeah, Jason, he's very unassuming. His stature is, in my eyes, anyway. He's not overly huge, so he's unassuming. But his strap technique is very, very good. And he'll resort to it a lot more blatantly than I certainly will. But whatever, that's his deal.
Yep, and you're right. You look at Jason, and you'd never believe that man could produce that much back pressure.
Right.
You just wouldn't. Like, I don't understand. I still, every time I see him, where the hell does it come from? Because it's incredible.
It really is. And, I watched him beat Storm Chelino at the USAA Nationals a couple of years ago, and it was really shocking. When you look at the difference, obviously arm size doesn't necessarily mean anything, but Storm, as you know, is really a jacked guy. And
right.
Jason had his number on the straps. It was really something.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that,
And Jason's also, he's got a really high level of strength that people forget about because, outside of the straps, he's very dangerous too. It's just that he's so dominant in them. That's what we always talk about.
He's a really strong guy. I know. If you let him get inside, he's definitely, just pulling with him. I practiced with him as well over the years a few different times, and he's certainly he's strong. He really is. It's amazing, It's what he can produce out of that arm of his.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yep. Here's another question. Do you have any advice for people who are unfortunately not part of a arm wrestling group and are doing most of their training solo so they don't get as much table time as the rest of us?
Well, first off, don't get discouraged. Keep training, and go to these tournaments and try to work on, you can work on hits by yourself. Actually, if you like, this is one thing I used to do. I haven't done it in quite a while. I would put like a, you set up on a table and you get in your position and put like something soft, a pillow or whatever, depending on what arm you're pulling, and just mentally, get in your lock where you're going to be and work on starts by yourself. So you feel like you're at least on the table. You're not gripping anybody's hand, but you're saying ready to go to yourself and just slam your arm down as hard as you can. And here's a statement from a guy that was around for a long time, Neil Bell from Australia. He said, Bill, I remember when he first met me, he goes, Bill, you got to just, I went and trained with him in Venice Beach, California one time, went out and visited him. He lives in Australia now. But imagine your hand going through that table and pinning that guy.
Right.
And that just stuck with me, so you got to just try to do whatever you can solo and be disciplined about it as best as you can because you're not having a group, And I'm sure there's probably a lot of guys out there that are living in an area where either it's pretty isolated or maybe there's no, real pullers in their area or whatever. So I understand that, so stick with it and don't get discouraged. I want to see you guys. I want to see whoever that person might be at a tournament,
Yeah, and definitely if there's no groups around you, also do not be afraid to really make a good attempt to start one. You do have the power to maybe convince some people, That's definitely an option too.
Right. Yeah, no, good point. Run a tournament. Start advertising,
Right. You never know.
You never know who's out there in the woodworks. I was so glad when I first started. I had this guy, Kent Borowski, Kent DeMore. The only way I found out about it, I owned my construction company, and he started working for me, and he was telling me about it. He was like 260, 280 at the time, and he's telling me, he said, yeah, I'm a state champ. Arm wrestling. He was telling me a little about himself. I'm like, really? And that was before I ever competed.
Yeah.
And I said, wow, it was like, it was all through school. I did it just for fun. Like probably a lot of guys and girls do.
Right.
This is a similar story to a lot of people. All through school, I would compete just for fun. Probably the top guy in the school, or second or third or whatever. and not knowing what I was doing, but enjoying it and having some success. And maybe, I was involved in other sports, but I still, in the back of my mind, like, I really love doing that. It's a lot of fun. I had the right tools, I felt. But anyway, he came, this guy, Kent, he came to my office, and we were talking about him getting a job and this and that. And he's telling me about that. I'm like, and then he goes, yeah, that's really awesome, and I like to try it. Well, you should. So I tried pulling him on my desktop at the time. But he said, Bill, you got to go to this tournament. And there's a local tournament coming up like a month later or something like it was. And I didn't go training on it before. But I was like so excited to find out where to go. So that was a guy running tournaments. But I found out where to go. And if I didn't meet him, I may not be here today. I may not have never found out where to go. But always in the back of my mind, loving doing it, even just for fun. Like a lot of guys do it at a party or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my story.
No, yeah, for
Well,
sure.
I love
I
this.
think that is. I think you're right. I think that's a lot of people's story where it's like that one chance that could have been it. If that never happened, we wouldn't even be talking about arm wrestling. You wouldn't have any clue. And like people just get so addicted to it so quickly. I don't know what it is about. I don't know what it is about it. Whether it's
It's fun.
it's the group of
It's
guys,
awesome.
or if it's the pressure.
It is.
Like there's nothing like. There's nothing like just getting into a hard match, even in training, and it's just the pressure of the world is on your arm and it doesn't move. And you're just like, I don't know why this is so great, but it's just the best.
It's a visceral experience.
Whatever.
Yeah, right.
I mean, winning's great, but you know what? You go there, you compete, you do your best. The best time is after the tournament, pulling all these guys. I think.
Absolutely.
I remember going to nationals and then being up to like 5 or 6 in the morning pulling guys. Just a few beers, but it was a good time. I was so just consumed with the arm wrestling. It was just huge because I took advantage of that because if they went to nationals, they're from all over the country, and these guys I couldn't pull other than at that time.
Exactly.
So I took advantage of that, and that made me a better puller as well. So get out there, this guy, whoever this is that is turning by himself, start hitting these tournaments. And do as much as you can.
Yeah, and use that after pulling as the training session too.
Yeah.
Right. Use that after pulling as training for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some guys won't do it, but most guys will. They'll even show you how to beat them if you can.
A lot of people will. You're right about that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, we have people up here that routinely travel 7-8 hours to go to a tournament, and they have probably 5 groups that they can train with, you being one of them, Bill, within a few hours. And people, you can definitely, if you commit, you can go out and you can find people. So definitely, if it's important to you, you got to do that. You got to go out there, get the table time, meet new people. And like you said, after pulling is amazing. I feel like I've learned more in those sessions than anywhere else because everybody's tired. So even though, the matches aren't as devastating to your arms as they typically are, and it's just a blast. And you meet so many people and so many different styles. It's awesome.
Yeah, that is the best part, I feel, of a tournament. Definitely winning is the ultimate for sure, but enjoying the time together, I mean, that's what it's all about, guys. It really is. Life's short,
Christian Gilbert is saying he learned a lot from you, Bill. So he's a little shout out.
Hi, Christian. Yeah.
And so we've kept you on here, what a time? It's like an hour and 12 minutes. I don't know how much more time you have, Bill. There's a few more questions people have.
I got a 4 minutes. Yeah, take advantage of me or whatever if you don't want to. Shut me down too. If I
we definitely got some time for a couple more questions.
Absolutely. You can stay on as long as you want, man. Let's talk about WAL this year. A couple people are interested in your predictions for what's going to happen. Obviously, Katowski is changing classes, but the other classes have largely the same people, although we are adding Australia and Micronesia, Malaysia, some other countries are coming over. Do you see anything is getting shaken up or any changes in the current leaders?
That's a tough question. I don't know what's happening in these other countries that are just coming in, and that's awesome that they're coming in. That's great. So I think for the most part, they're some of the dominant guys are, as they keep their head on straight. Talking about you, Rob Vision, but
Yeah.
are gonna do awesome. Are gonna do well. So I don't know. It's interesting. What's gonna happen? Last year we had what is it? Europe or Great Britain, whatever that team was that came in, and then we had the tall giraffe guy, Nonistat, win.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and that was, and then there was Neil Pickup was telling me that, oh yeah, you gotta watch out for this guy and watch out for that guy. And I ended up getting in a war with the Frohan guy or whatever from.
Frode Hagelin. Yeah.
Yeah. And he was a long match for me. It took me out, but I beat him. But anyway, you never know. So there's so many unknowns. I think I think we know for the most part. It's going to be interesting to see what Tony has to offer. Mm-hmm. I can't remember the one thing about Tony. I don't know. It was hand size. I think it could be smaller. I'm not sure. No disrespect to you, Tony. Good luck to you in the 195s. Whether he's going to be a huge factor or not, I don't know. I really don't. I'm sure that you can't let guys out there that are in the 95s. You can't say, okay, this guy. I'm scared of this guy now because he's dominating the 65s. He's coming in our class. I'm worried about him. Well, yeah, but you know what? He's just another puller. Let's see where he's at. So it's really hard to see, to say right now with those other countries coming in, what's going to really happen. How many people? I don't know. That's the other. I don't know how many people are really going to be at that finals, and how are they going to do that? That's a question I don't even know the answer to. How are they going to do that live?
Yeah. Well, we're trying to get Steve Kaplan to come on the show and talk about it. So he's a little shy, but we're working on him.
Come on, Steve, get out there and talk about it. Let's figure this out. Because I think a lot of people are anxious about it and they want to see it. And they want to see it be successful on ESPN. Mm-hmm. So let's I don't know what. It's going to be a little challenging. I think I think it's going to be very, very challenging to get that condensed and to be like, and that's certainly not that I'm well versed in. I'm sure ESPN has their guys that are going to put it together and make it a entertaining show to some degree. Right. It's going to be competitive, but it's got to happen, And I don't think that this big strap factor is going to be or this strap issue, I should say, is going to be like a big factor.
Yeah.
Oh, it takes so long. Oh, you can put it on quick. Train the referees. Get it on quick. Whatever strap you decide to use, it's going to take time. But you can get it on quickly and get the match done because you're going to have straps or matches that end up in the straps a lot more. Mm-hmm. And it is what it is.
Yeah, the speed of the strap being the issue was kind of bizarre to me too. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has seen Leonard Harkless put on a strap, but it's pretty fast.
Yeah, he's fast.
He's really fast, so it can be done.
I feel I can do it pretty quick. You set them up quick. You know how to put a strap on. You get it on fast. It's really. There's the time that it takes to put that strap on it with a well-versed referee there's really no consequence, I don't feel, than how long it takes for the guys to set up without it. Mm-hmm. I don't think that differential is that big, because it takes time to set up the match, all right? And whoever slips out is going to have the strap. And if you put them in, say you put them in a hook, there's probably no real, if you timed it, I bet there wouldn't be any difference than putting in a strap. Very minimal.
Right.
The impact on the overall time. I don't think it's that big of an issue. I think they're dwelling on it more and trying to make solutions for something that's really, if you have a guy that's trained to put the strap on, a good referee, it's not going to be an issue anyway. So,
well, the reason it came up is because ESPN said we want to do this live, but you got to work on the straps because they're the ones that felt that it was taking too long, and that's what inspired WAL to try to find a quicker solution. Because I think you're right. ESPN does know how to do live programming, obviously, and I think I'm sure it's going to be amazing. So I think whatever they figure out is going to be good, and we'll see what happens with the straps. But
Right.
It's going to be fun to see you up there again, Bill. John Cervantes is asking if you've pulled Seth Barnett lately and how that went. I don't remember. Did you guys pull at WAL the last year or two?
No, but I pulled him in a tournament at just after the fact. I felt pretty good with him at my tournament last year.
Yeah.
But I haven't. I know Seth's been training good and good for him. I don't know, where he's at right now. So
I love that there's so many strong pullers coming from the Northeast that end up in the finals at WAL. It's good to see.
Yeah, it is good to see. Yeah. It's going to be interesting who makes it, and a lot of guys vying for the points, that's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
How
Yeah.
How about Sheldrick up there with you? Is he training right now?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, George, he's feeling good. I tell you what, Georgie is my probably my toughest training partner right now, for sure. He was here earlier, and he's definitely feeling really good, for sure.
Yeah, George is one of those guys that people don't know about, and if he showed up at like some random tournament anywhere in the country, he would give anybody in the 198s hell.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, there's no doubt about it. George, he's another guy that's a little bit unassuming. He's tall. He's like 6'5".
Yeah.
He's kind of linky, but I tell you what, he's got a really, really strong wrist and hand.
Oh yeah.
He really does, and he's quick. He's very fast.
He's got one of the best hits ever.
But he's got an awesome hit. Yeah. If you can survive his hit, that's kudos to you. But he's got a long career ahead of him. He's kind of going through some stuff right now in his life, but he's been training pretty steady with me for sure.
Very
Always good to hear.
Very
George is on top of being a really great puller, great guy too. So it's good to hear.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah, I'll pass that on to him for sure. He actually works for me.
Oh, nice.
Tell him we're thinking of him.
I will definitely tell him that in the morning for sure.
All right, so you guys gonna have any last minute questions for Bill? Send them in right now because we're wrapping up with the poor guy. He's got to take care of his kids and all that.
Yeah, well, hopefully they're all sleeping.
My son's waiting outside the door because there's a snow day tomorrow, so he wants to stay.
Man.
Oh man, right.
Yeah, they call snow days before it snows now. That's how it works.
It's weird.
It is weird. It wasn't like that when I was a kid, man. It's like, you'd be at school and there'd be 8 inches of snow on the ground. They'd be like, well, there's no buses aren't going to drive. Good luck getting home. Things change.
Yeah.
Things change. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, Bill, what's next for you after WL this year? Are you gonna stick with that circuit, or do you have any other plans?
Well, I'm going to stick with that circuit right now, and I'm going to try to hit some other tournaments as well. I'm not sure which ones exactly, but I'm looking forward to the WAL season. It's been ongoing and coming up, to the end of June. So I'm hopefully going to, do really well in that. I'm hoping anyway, and
I'm sure you will.
Just kind of, do what I can with other stuff going on. And I run a couple of tournaments here that I'll probably just run, but I don't know. We'll see. Maybe a super match here and there. We'll see. I don't know. I gotta. Some super matches are good. They're actually good because they're really trained. You think about that, that guy all day. And I tell you, I've only lost one super match. My whole career, I've only lost one. That was the Kevin Bongard, and I should have not went down to that weight, that crazy lightweight that he had. And I was like, whoa. I had to get down to 185, and I was like sick.
Yeah.
Doing it.
Yeah, that would kill me. 185, I don't think is doable for me.
Oh, me neither. No way. That's nuts. But he's tall. He's tall. He's like Kevin Bongard was like 6'4" or something. And he just
some of those guys can do it. Paul Talbot, some of those like real tall, skinny guys somehow can drop huge amounts of weights. I don't understand it.
I don't either. I don't feel good. I don't feel healthy doing it, and I just don't. To me, it's very abusive to my body, and I don't want to do that. If I have to lose more than 5 or 10 pounds, forget it.
Yeah.
Unless I was overweight, I don't have a lot to lose really. So different.
Yeah, I'm the same as you. Plus, I'm 46, you're 52, and when we get older, it's less wise to cut weight anyway.
Right. Very, very, very good point.
So, anyway, I hope you come to Tahoe, Bill. I mean, if you can work it into your schedule, I think that'd be awesome. You can decide about Budapest later. I think it would be fun to have you because I think the same thing you do, Bill, is that when I was over there, we had a pretty good representatives in the master's classes, but in terms of seniors and even some of the master's classes, I knew we had a lot of people that could compete or win gold over there, and it would be nice to see a bigger contingent go from the United States.
You're right about that. I mean, I kind of feel that you have these other top pullers out of myself that are not going to those tournaments and representing the United States, and that is true. So I have done it, like I said, 4 or 5 times, but
you've done more than most people already.
Well, thank you, but it's an honor. It's an honor. No money, but hey, that's what the Olympics are.
I know exactly.
For us right now, that's basically the Olympics to some degree of arm wrestling. Other these, maybe not talent always, but yeah, that's if you look at it like that. World champion, that's awesome. National champion, that's there's something to be said for that. Whether this guy that maybe could beat you didn't show that day, well, too fucking bad. Excuse my French.
That's fine. Yeah, that whole thing of the best guy didn't show. There's always that argument, right? Well, I'm not going to play for the guys. I'm not going to play for the guy's plane ticket. Come over. Sorry.
That's right. You were there. You competed. You did what you had to do. You trained. You won. You're the national champion.
That's right.
I don't care. They argue. So there
I
you
agree.
go.
The whole country's invited. It's not your fault if they don't show up.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And
That's right.
Get out there. Get down to Tahoe, everybody, and prove that you deserve it. And if you don't believe there's some people talking some garbage last year about anybody can make Team USA. It's like, well, come down and prove it then, because I didn't see you there. You know what I mean? If you can make the team, then come down and beat everybody in your class and make the goddamn team. Otherwise, shut up.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Not everything in our sport is positive, as you know, Bill, sadly.
What?
Yeah, too bad. Not everything is positive, but whatever. I'm one of those people that's going to be conveying that positive message always. So, regardless.
Yeah. We know you do, Bill. Well, this has been awesome. I'm really glad we had you on, Bill. People had a lot of questions, and you get a lot of respect in the sport, and I think it's very much earned. I really appreciate man. And we very much appreciate you taking the time out of your life. I know it's tough with 3 little ones and all that kind of stuff. And so please say thank you to your family for letting you spend this time with us. And we hope you come back on the show sometime soon.
Yeah. Thanks a lot for having me. I enjoyed every minute of it, guys.
Awesome.
And we'll talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good, man.
All right, Bill. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too. Take care.
Out.